Millionaire couldn't believe his eyes when he saw his pregnant ex-girlfriend cleaning a storm drain on the street. Michael Anderson slammed on the brakes so hard he nearly caused a pileup on Fifth Avenue. His eyes couldn't process the scene unfolding before him through the windshield of his imported Lexus. It was almost 10 in the morning when he spotted that familiar figure crouched near a clogged storm drain. The woman wore orange rubber gloves and the grey uniform of the city sanitation department, her brown hair tied in a simple bun. What shocked him most wasn't the work she was doing, but the prominent belly that stood out, even under the loose fabric of her uniform. "It can't be her," Michael murmured, feeling his heart race. But it was. After 3 years apart, there she was, Jessica Miller, his ex-girlfriend, pregnant and working as a sanitation worker in downtown New York. The businessman parked his car in a nearby spot, completely ignoring the angry honks of drivers stuck behind him. His hands trembled as he turned off the engine. How had that elegant woman with a degree in business administration he once knew ended up like this? Jessica hadn't noticed him yet. She was focused on unclogging the drain with a long pole, her face flushed from the effort. The scorching July sun in New York offered no mercy, and she kept pausing to wipe sweat from her forehead with the back of her gloved hand. Michael stepped out of the car slowly, as if in a dream, or rather, a nightmare. Their last conversation had been a terrible fight, full of accusations and harsh words he regretted the moment they left his mouth. "Jess?" he called hesitantly, his voice barely above a whisper. She jerked her head up, her eyes widening in surprise and panic. For a moment, Jessica froze completely, like a deer caught in headlights. Then, instinctively, she turned her face away, trying to hide behind the loose strands of hair that had escaped her bun. "Jess, it's me, Michael." He took a few steps closer. She swallowed hard and struggled to stand, one hand supporting her lower back. Her belly was large. She must have been 6 or 7 months along. "Hi, Michael," she replied softly, unable to meet his gaze. The silence that followed was deafening. The noise of traffic around them felt distant, as if they were in a bubble cut off from the rest of the world. "You're..." He gestured discreetly toward her belly. "Pregnant?" "Yes, I am." Jessica straightened her shoulders, trying to regain her composure. 7 months. Michael did the math in his head. 3 years since their breakup, 7 months pregnant. Obviously it wasn't his. But who was the father? And why was she working such a physically demanding job while pregnant? "Jess, what happened? How did you..." He vaguely motioned toward her uniform and the cleaning tools scattered on the ground. "I work here," she replied flatly. "I need the job." Before Michael could respond, a rough voice shouted from across the street. "Hey, Jessica, stop chatting and get back to work. This isn't break time." A sturdy woman in her 50s with bleached hair and a clipboard in hand was crossing the street toward them. Her uniform identified her as the cleaning crew supervisor. "Sorry, Miss Barbara." Jessica quickly bent to pick up the drain rod. "And who's this guy in the suit? New boyfriend?" Barbara looked Michael up and down with disdain. "If he is, tell him to scram. This isn't the place for flirting." No, he's just someone I know," Jessica stammered, clearly embarrassed. Michael felt a mix of anger and indignation rise in his chest. How dare this woman speak to Jessica like that? "Excuse me," he said to the supervisor. "I was just greeting an old friend." "There's nothing wrong with that." "Listen here, pretty boy," Barbara said, placing a hand on her hip. "She works for me, and I don't pay her to chat with rich guys who drive Lexuses. If you want to talk, wait till she's off work at 6 in the evening." "Miss Barbara, please," Jessica pleaded. "I'll get back to work right now. It won't happen again." "You'd better, or else you'll be out on the street," the supervisor threatened before walking away, muttering curses under her breath. Jessica knelt back down beside the sewer grate, tears glistening in her eyes. Michael stood frozen, unsure what to do. He wanted to help, but at the same time he realized his presence was only making things worse. "Jess, listen." He crouched beside her. "We need to talk. Can it wait until after your shift?" "No, Michael." She shook her head firmly. "You should just forget you saw me here." "How can I forget? You were pregnant and doing hard labor. Where's the baby's father? Jessica stopped fiddling with the rod and looked at him for the first time since he arrived. Her eyes were red, filled with a deep sadness he had never seen before. He disappeared when he found out about the pregnancy, she said simply, and I need this job, so please just leave me alone. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. Michael felt like he'd been punched in the gut. The Jessica he knew was proud and independent, but he had never seen her so defeated. But Jess, you have a degree. You're qualified for much better jobs than this. What happened? Life happened, Michael. She went back to working the sewer grate with rough movements. Not everyone is lucky enough to inherit their father's company. The jab stung, but he knew he deserved it. When they were together, Jessica had always criticized him for not appreciating what he had, for not understanding the struggles of those who had to fight for every dollar. Listen, I can help you. Financially, I mean. At least until you find something better. Jessica stopped what she was doing and slowly stood up, leaning on the rod. I don't want your help, she said coldly, and I don't need your pity. It's not pity, Jess. It's concern. You shouldn't be doing this kind of work while pregnant. It's dangerous. Dangerous is not having money to eat, she shot back. Dangerous is not being able to afford doctor's visits. Dangerous is living in a place that could collapse any minute. That's dangerous. Michael opened his mouth to respond, but at that moment Jessica bent over slightly, clutching her stomach. Ow, she groaned softly. What's wrong? Are you in pain? He moved closer immediately. It's nothing, just sometimes she kicks really hard. Jessica took a few deep breaths. She? It's a girl? Jessica nodded, a tear rolling down her dust-streaked face. Have you picked a name? Emma, she answered without looking at him. After my grandmother. Michael remembered Jessica's grandmother, a sweet woman who had always treated him kindly when they were together. Mrs. Emma had passed away shortly before they broke up. That's a beautiful name, he said softly. Jessica didn't respond, just bent down again to keep working, but Michael noticed she was moving slower, clearly uncomfortable. Jess, seriously, you need medical attention. Pain like this isn't normal. I know exactly what's normal in my pregnancy, she snapped, and I have a doctor, thank you. Private or through insurance? Medicaid, she muttered, and before you say anything, the doctors there are great. The problem is getting an appointment. Michael wanted to ask about the prenatal care, about the tests, about 1,000 things, but he realized every word he said seemed to be taken as criticism or judgment. I'm sorry, he finally said. I didn't mean to bother you, it was a shock seeing you here. I can imagine, Jessica sighed. The rich ex-girlfriend turned pregnant sanitation worker must be quite shocking indeed. That's not it, Jess. It's just that I never stopped. He trailed off. What was he going to say? That he never stopped thinking about her? That he missed her every day? That he bitterly regretted how things ended between them? Never stopped what? Worrying about you, he finished, choosing safer words. Jessica finally looked at him again, and for a moment, Michael saw the same woman he'd fallen for 4 years ago, but she quickly looked away. Well, now you've seen I'm fine, so you can leave with a clear conscience. You're not fine, Jess. Anyone can see that. I'm surviving, Michael, and right now that's enough for me. Michael's phone rang. It was Brandon, his business partner, probably calling about the meeting he was late for. He declined the call without answering. Do you have to go? Jessica asked, noticing the phone. No, nothing that can't wait. Michael, seriously, just leave. You being here is only making things harder for me. How so? Ms. Barbara is already watching. If she thinks I'm slacking off because of you, she'll write me up. And I can't afford to get a warning. Michael glanced around and saw the supervisor indeed watching them from a distance, clearly annoyed. All right, he sighed, but I want to see you again. To talk properly. What for? What do you want to hear? That I regret breaking up with you? That my life fell apart after I left your place? That sometimes in the middle of the night when I'm hungry and cold, I think about how things could have been different. The brutal honesty of her words left him speechless for a moment. I want to hear the truth, Jess. All of it. Because I regret a lot, too. The truth is right in front of you, she gestured to her uniform. You don't need to hear anything. I do, and you need to hear me, too. No, Michael, I don't. What happened between us is in the past. I've moved on. Moved on? He looked at her situation again. Jess, for God's sake, you're pregnant, alone, working a tough job, living who knows where. Watch what you say next, she cut him off, her voice turning sharp. You know nothing about my life, nothing about the choices I've had to make or why I made them. Then tell me, he raised his voice in frustration. Explain how we got here. We didn't get anywhere. Jessica stood up again, this time angry. I got here alone and I'll get myself out of this. Self out. Alone, too. You don't have to be alone, Jess. Yes, I do. Because every time I trusted someone to help me, I got burned. Every time I let my guard down, someone took advantage. So yes, Michael, I do have to be alone. Michael felt the weight of her words. He knew he'd contributed to that distrust, to her need to protect herself from everyone. I get why you don't trust me, he said quietly. But think about Emma. She doesn't deserve to grow up struggling if there's a way to avoid it. Don't bring my daughter into this, Jessica said through gritted teeth. Don't you dare use her as leverage. I'm not using anyone. I'm offering help because I mean it. Why? Out of guilt? Pity? To make yourself feel better? Because I love you. The words slipped out before he could think. Jessica froze. The noise of the traffic around them seemed to fade, and for a moment, it was as if they were the only two people in the world. Don't say that, she whispered. It's true, Jess. I never stopped loving you, not even for a single day. Don't say that, she repeated, this time with tears streaming down her face. You don't have the right to say that now. I know I don't. I know I messed everything up. I know I hurt you in a way that maybe can't be forgiven, but I can't stand here seeing you like this and do nothing. What do you want to do? Save me. Jessica laughed bitterly. Where were you when I needed you? Where were you when I lost my job? Where were you when I got pregnant and the father abandoned me? Where were you when I sold everything just to pay rent? Each question felt like a knife to Michael's chest. He wanted to say he didn't know, that if he had known, he would have helped. But the words wouldn't come. You were living your rich life, Michael. Taking care of your business, dating your high society girlfriends, going to your fancy clubs. And I was here, learning that the world doesn't forgive anyone. Jess? No. No Jess is going to convince me. You want to know the truth. The truth is I hated you. For a long time I hated you for making me believe happiness was possible, for making me dream of a future that was never going to happen. Why was it never going to happen? We were good together. Were we? She stared at him. Do you remember our last conversation, Michael? Do you remember what you said to me? Michael lowered his head. Of course he remembered. Those words had haunted him for 3 years. You said I was a gold digger, that I was only with you for the money, that girls like me always find a way to take advantage of guys like you. I was angry, Jess. I was hurt, and I said things I didn't mean. But you said them. And when you say something like that to someone, you kill something inside them. You killed the trust I had in you, the faith I had in our relationship. I know. And I regret it every day. Regret doesn't change anything, Michael. It doesn't give me back 3 years of my life. It doesn't bring back the opportunities I lost, the dreams I had to abandon. At that moment, the supervisor approached again, clearly annoyed. Hey, Jessica, what kind of never-ending conversation is this? You think I pay you to chat? I'm sorry, Miss Barbara, he's leaving now. Jessica bent down to pick up her tools again. Good. Barbara glared at Michael with disdain. And you, mister, if you don't want to work, get out of the way of those who do. Michael felt anger boiling inside him, but he held back. Arguing with that woman would only make things worse for Jessica. Jessica, he said quietly, I'll go now, but this isn't over. We'll talk properly. No, Michael, it is over. Here and now. He watched her for a few more seconds, seeing her fight back tears as she tried to focus on her work. Reluctantly, he turned and walked back to his car. But just as he reached the Lexus, he heard a muffled cry from behind. He spun around and saw Jessica on her knees, one hand braced against the pavement, the other clutching her stomach. "Jess!" He ran back. "Oh, God!" She groaned, clearly in pain. "What happened?" The supervisor approached too, more irritated than concerned. I think I'm having contractions," Jessica managed to say. "Contractions?" Michael knelt beside her. "But isn't it too early?" "Yes. She's not due until September." Without a second thought, Michael slipped an arm around Jessica and helped her up. "I'm taking you to the hospital now." "No, I can't leave work," she protested weakly. "What work? You're having contractions." He looked at the supervisor. "You're not going to stop a pregnant woman from going to the hospital, are you?" "Oh, here comes the drama." Barbara rolled her eyes. These young girls always find an excuse to skip work. "Excuse?" Michael couldn't hold back. "Can't you see she's in pain?" "What I see is that she doesn't want to work. Ever since you got here, she's been slacking off." Michael took a deep breath, trying not to lose his temper completely. "Listen here," he said through gritted teeth. "She's 7 months pregnant and having contractions. If anything happens to her or the baby, because you wouldn't let her go to the hospital, I guarantee you'll have serious trouble." The supervisor hesitated for a moment, perhaps realizing the seriousness of the situation. "Fine. She can go," she grumbled. "But if it's a false alarm, she's fired." Michael didn't respond. He just helped Jessica walk to the car, ignoring her protests that she could manage on her own. On the way to the nearest hospital, Jessica stayed silent, her hands clenched over her belly. Michael drove as fast as traffic allowed, his heart racing. "Does it hurt a lot?" he asked, while stopped at a red light. "It's getting better," she murmured. "I think it was just a scare." "Even so, a doctor should check you out." "Michael, I can't afford a private hospital. I'll pay." "I don't want you to pay." "Jess, for God's sake, stop being stubborn. Your health and Emma's are more important than your pride." She didn't answer, just rested her head against the window. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, back to the story. At the hospital, Michael insisted she be seen immediately. He used his influence and credit card to ensure she got the best care possible. While they waited in the exam room, Jessica finally broke the silence. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "Helping me, after everything I said to you." Michael thought for a moment before answering. "Because even if you hate me, even if you never forgive me, I can't see you suffering and do nothing." "I don't hate you," she said softly. "No? No? I tried to hate you for a long time, but I couldn't. It just made me feel worse." Before Michael could respond, a nurse entered the room. "Ms. Jessica, the doctor will see you now." Michael waited in the lobby while she was examined. He paced back and forth, unable to stay still. He couldn't stop thinking about the state he'd found her in. How had her life gotten so complicated? Nearly an hour later, Jessica came out of the office with a middle-aged doctor. "The baby is fine," the doctor addressed Michael, assuming he was the father. "It was just Braxton Hicks contractions, which are normal at this stage of pregnancy." But what?" Michael asked immediately. "She's showing signs of extreme stress and exhaustion. What's your profession, Miss Jessica?" "I work for the city sanitation department," she murmured. The doctor shook his head disapprovingly. "Heavy physical labor isn't recommended at this stage of pregnancy, especially considering she's had some episodes of high blood pressure." "High blood pressure?" Michael looked at Jessica, worried. "You didn't tell me that." "Because it wasn't your business," she replied sharply. "Doctor," Michael turned to the doctor, "what kind of work can she do?" "Light work, preferably desk jobs, nothing requiring physical exertion or long hours on her feet." "And what about prenatal care? Is she getting proper checkups?" The doctor checked the chart. "From what I can see here, she's up to date with her appointments, but she missed some important tests because of," he hesitated, "financial issues." Michael felt a pang of guilt. While he spent fortunes on cars and expensive restaurants, Jessica couldn't even afford basic pregnancy tests. What kind of tests? The morphology ultrasound, some specific blood work, a gestational diabetes test. Doctor, is it possible to do these tests today? Right here? Of course, but... I'll cover everything, Michael cut in. Michael, no, Jessica scolded him. Jess, listen, let me do this. At least this. She stared at him for a long moment, an internal battle clear in her eyes. Fine, she finally said, but just the tests. After that, we go our separate ways. 2 hours later, they left the hospital with a folder full of test results and several ultrasound photos of little Emma. Do you want me to take you home? Michael asked when they reached the car. No need, I can take the bus. Jess, you just left the hospital. Let me drive you. All right, she sighed, but only to the bus stop closest to my place. Why not all the way home? Because I don't want you to see where I live. Why? Because it's humiliating, Michael. Because you grew up in a mansion and I live in a rundown tenement. Because your memories of me are from when I wore nice clothes and went to fancy places, and I want to keep at least that intact. Jess, I don't care where you live, but I do. I care a lot. Michael decided not to push. He drove to the address she gave, a far-off part of the city he didn't know well. This is it, she said as they stopped on a busy avenue. Are you sure you don't want me to take you to your door? I'm sure. Thanks for the tests, Michael. Really. She opened the car door, but before she could leave, he called out, Jess, wait. What? Tomorrow, I'll be in front of your workplace at 6 in the evening. We're going to talk properly, whether you like it or not. Michael. No, Jess. Today was a shock for both of us, but now I know you're here, that you need help. I can't just forget and move on. And what do you expect to happen? That we'll start dating again like nothing happened? I don't know what I expect. I just know I can't pretend I didn't see you today. Jessica studied him for a moment, then shook her head and got out of the car without another word. Michael sat still, watching her walk down the avenue until she disappeared down a side street. Then he drove home with a heavy heart and a mind full of unanswered questions. That night he couldn't focus on anything else. He cancelled all his meetings for the next day and kept thinking about Jessica, about how thin she looked despite her pregnant belly, about how rough her hands were from hard work, about how tired and sad her eyes seemed, but mostly he thought about how foolish he'd been 3 years ago. The argument that ended their relationship had been about money, as usual. Jessica had mentioned feeling uncomfortable with his lifestyle, that she couldn't keep up with the spending he considered normal. Michael, in his immaturity, took it as criticism and lashed out cruelly, accusing her of being with him just for his money. Now, seeing her situation, he realized how unfair he'd been. Jessica had never asked him for anything. In fact, she'd always tried to pay her own way, even when it was obvious she was struggling. The next day, Michael arrived at Jessica's workplace at 5:30 in the evening. He wanted to be there when her shift ended, so she couldn't slip away. He waited in his car, watching the city sanitation workers finish their day. At 6 on the dot, he saw Jessica leaving a small building that must have been the company's office. She noticed him immediately and hesitated for a moment, clearly considering going back inside. But then she sighed and walked to the car. "You're so stubborn," she said as she got in. "Yes, I am, always have been." "So, where are we going?" "Somewhere we can talk calmly. You pick." Jessica thought for a moment. "There's a diner up ahead. It's simple, but it's clean." Perfect. The diner was small and modest, with just a few tables and a simple counter. They ordered 2 coffees and sat at a corner table. "So," Michael began, "tell me what happened after we broke up." "Why? What difference does it make now?" "It makes a difference to me. I need to understand how we got here." Jessica stirred sugar into her coffee for a long time before answering. "After we split, I was lost for about 2 months. Couldn't focus at work, couldn't think straight. Then I met Ryan." "Marina's father?" "Yeah. He was a sales rep at the company where I worked. Seemed like a nice guy, attentive. We started seeing each other." "And how was it?" "At first it was good. He made me feel special, took me to nice places, said he loved me and wanted to build a family with me. Michael felt a pang of jealousy but kept his composure. What happened? I got pregnant. It was an accident. We weren't planning it. But when I told him, he seemed happy, said it was the best gift I could have given him. But he left you. Not right away. For about 2 months, he pretended everything was fine, even helped pick Marina's name. But then I found out he was married. Michael nearly spilled his coffee. What do you mean, married? He had a wife and 2 kids. When she found out about me and the pregnancy, she gave him an ultimatum: stay with his family or lose everything. And he chose his family. He did. Gave me $500 and told me to take care of the problem. When I said I wouldn't, that I was keeping the baby, he said he never wanted to see me again. Michael felt a surge of anger toward this Ryan, a man he'd never even met. Didn't you take him to court for child support? With what money for a lawyer? And even if I could, he vanished, moved cities, changed jobs, completely disappeared. What about your job? Did they fire you because of the pregnancy? Not officially, but they started giving me impossible tasks, bad shifts, treating me poorly, until I couldn't take it anymore and quit. That's workplace harassment, Jess. I know, but I couldn't prove it. And even if I could, they were a big company with expensive lawyers. I was just a pregnant employee with no money to fight back. Michael shook his head, furious. So then you started working for the city sanitation department? Not right away. First, I tried getting other office jobs, but no one wants to hire a single pregnant woman until the money ran out completely and I had to take whatever came up. What about your family? Couldn't your parents help? Jessica laughed bitterly. My parents disowned me when they found out I was pregnant, said I was a disgrace to the family, that I'd turned into some low-class woman. Jess, my mother said as long as I insisted on keeping this baby, I wasn't her daughter anymore. My father wouldn't even listen. Michael remembered Jessica's parents, strict religious people who'd always treated him with suspicion because he came from a wealthy family. Apparently their moral convictions were stronger than their love for their daughter. What about your friends? What friends, Michael? The friends I had were from work or our social circle. When I lost my job and we broke up, I lost everyone else too. I'm so sorry, Jess. If I'd known, what would you have done? Offered me money out of pity? No, I don't know what I would have done, but something. Michael, you need to understand something. When you said that to me about me being a gold digger, you didn't just end our relationship. You destroyed my self-esteem. You made me question whether everything I felt for you was real. Jess, I was angry. I wasn't thinking straight, but I took it seriously. And when Ryan came along, I thought I'd finally found someone who valued me for who I was, not for what I could get from him. And now you know you were wrong. Now I know all men lie when they want something. The words stung, but Michael knew he deserved them. I didn't lie to you, Jess. When I said I loved you, I meant it. Did you? She stared at him. Then why was it so easy for you to believe the worst about me? Michael didn't know how to answer. It was a question he'd asked himself for 3 years. I think I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid it might be true. Afraid you really were like the women my mother always warned me about. Your mother said that? Always. Since I was a teenager, she told me to watch out for gold diggers, that they were experts at faking love for money. And you believed her? Not consciously. But deep down, I think I always carried that insecurity. So when you complained about money, I never complained about your money, Michael. I complained about how you used it to hide from problems. What do you mean? You always threw money at everything, any problem, any conflict. You just tossed cash at it and thought it was solved. You never stopped to really talk, to understand people. Michael considered this. It was true. He'd always used money to avoid emotional confrontations. You're right, he admitted. I've always been like that. And still are? I'm trying to change, but it's hard to break a lifetime of habits. They sat in silence for a few minutes, each lost in thought. "Michael," Jessica finally said, "why are you so determined to help me now?" "Because I love you, Jess, and because I feel responsible for what happened to you." "You're not responsible for my pregnancy or Ryan abandoning me." "No. But I'm responsible for making you feel like you couldn't trust anyone, for planting that seed of doubt in your head about your own worth." Jessica studied him for a long moment. "And what do you want from me now? Forgiveness?" "I want a chance to make things right, to be the man I should have been 3 years ago." "Michael, I'm having a baby that isn't yours. My life is a mess. I live in a terrible place. I barely have enough money to get by. Are you sure you want to step into this chaos?" "I'm sure." "Why?" "Because even with all this chaos, even with all these problems, you're still the most incredible woman I've ever known, and Emma will be lucky to have you as her mother." Jessica felt tears welling up. "I'm so scared, Michael," she whispered. "Scared of what?" "Everything. That I won't be able to give Emma what she needs. That I won't be a good mother. That I won't be able to work after she's born. That..." "Hey." Michael reached across the table and touched her hand. "You'll be a wonderful mother, and you're not alone." "Yes, I am." "No, not anymore." Jessica looked down at their intertwined hands, then met his gaze. "I can't give you anything, Michael. I can't keep up with your lifestyle. I can't be the girlfriend who attends your social events. I barely have decent clothes. I don't want a girlfriend for social events. I want you, just as you are, where you are." "You say that now, but when reality hits, reality has already hit, Jess. Today, in fact, and I'm still here." She took a deep breath. "This is crazy." "Yeah, but sometimes the best things in life are crazy." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us who are just starting out. Now back to the story. "I need time to think," Jessica finally said. "How much time?" "I don't know. A few days, maybe a week." "That's fine, but while you think, let me help with some practical things." "What kind of things?" "Your work situation, for starters. You can't keep doing heavy labor while pregnant." "I need this job, Michael." "I know, but I can find something better for you. Less physically demanding." "How?" "I know a lot of people. I'm sure someone needs a competent person for office work." Jessica hesitated. "And what would I have to do in return?" "Nothing. Absolutely nothing." "I don't believe that." "Jess, listen, I'm not trying to buy you or blackmail you. I just want to help because I care about you. What if I accept the help and then decide I don't want to try anything between us? Then that's your choice. The help has nothing to do with our relationship." Jessica nervously fiddled with her napkin. "Why is it so hard for me to believe someone wants to help me without wanting something in return?" "Because you've been hurt too many times. It's natural for you to be wary." "It's not just wariness, Michael. I'm used to relying only on myself. It's hard to accept someone might care." "I care, Jess, more than you realize." They finished their coffee in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. When they left the diner, Michael insisted on driving her closer to home. "You won't convince me to drop you off on the avenue again," he said as he drove. "At least tell me what street you live on." Jessica sighed and gave him directions. They entered a neighborhood of modest houses and poorly lit streets, very different from the places Michael usually frequented. "It's here," she said when they stopped in front of an old 3-story building. Michael looked at the place, trying not to show his shock. The building was poorly maintained with peeling paint and some cracked windows. "Jess," he said hesitantly, "are you sure this place is safe?" "It's what I can afford, Michael, and it's not as bad as it looks." He doubted that but didn't press further. "Okay, but promise me one thing." "What?" "If you need anything, anything at all, call me. Anytime, day or night." "Michael, please, Jess, promise me." She studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, I promise." "Do you still have my number?" "No. I deleted all your contacts when we broke up." Michael took a card from the glove compartment and wrote his personal cell number on the back. "This is my cell. I always have it with me." Jessica took the card and tucked it into her purse. "Thank you, Michael, for today, for yesterday, for everything. Don't mention it." "And Jess?" "Yes?" "Think about what I said, about us trying again. I'll think about it." She got out of the car and Michael waited until she entered the building before driving away. On his way home, he couldn't stop thinking about the conditions she was living in. How had someone like Jessica, smart and capable, ended up in that situation? The next morning, Michael cancelled his appointments again and set out to resolve Jessica's work situation. He called a few contacts, explained he knew a qualified person who needed a job, and within 2 hours he had secured 3 promising offers. He also stopped by a department store and bought a few things he thought she might need: maternity clothes, vitamins, and some basic hygiene products. Then he hesitated. Would she be offended? Would she think he was trying to buy her off? He decided to take the risk. If she got angry, he'd deal with the consequences. He arrived at her workplace during lunch, hoping she'd be on break. He found her sitting alone on a bench in front of the company building, eating a simple sandwich. "Hi," he said as he approached. "Michael, what are you doing here?" "I brought you some things, and I want to talk about work." "What things?" He showed her the bags in his hands. "Clothes, mostly, and a few other things I thought you might need." Jessica looked at the bags with an unreadable expression. "You bought clothes for me?" "I did. I know you might be mad, but..." "Michael, you can't keep buying things for me." "Why not?" Because it makes me feel like a charity case." "It's not charity, Jess, it's care. It's attention. It's love." She sighed and shook her head. "I don't know how to react to this." "You don't have to react, just accept it." "And about work? What did you want to talk about?" "I got 3 job offers for you. All office jobs, light work, better pay than what you make here." Jessica stopped eating and stared at him. "How did you get them so fast?" "I know people, and when I mentioned I knew someone competent who needed an opportunity, everyone was interested." "You told them about me." "I said you had a degree in business, that you were experienced, reliable, and smart. I didn't mention the pregnancy or our history." "Why?" "Because it's no one's business, and because I wanted you to be judged on your skills, not your circumstances." Jessica was silent for a long moment. "What kind of jobs?" "One's at an accounting firm, administrative assistant. Another's at a law office, receptionist. The third is at a medical clinic, also administrative assistant." "And the pay?" "All of them pay at least 40% more than you make here, and they all have benefits: health insurance, transportation allowance, meal vouchers." "Health insurance?" "Yes, which means you could finish your prenatal care at private hospitals with specialists." Jessica felt her eyes fill with tears. "Michael, this is... I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Say you'll take one of the offers." "But what if they find out how you know me? What if they think it's a personal favor?" "It is a personal favor, but you'll prove you deserve the opportunity. I know you will." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I know you, Jess. I know how dedicated you are, how hard you work, how good you are at what you do." Jessica wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "And what about Ms. Barbara? She'll be furious if I leave like this." "Leave Ms. Barbara to me." "What do you mean?" "I'll talk to her. I'll explain you got a better opportunity and that you'll leave following labor laws." "Michael, you can't do that. She already looks at me sideways because of you." "Jess, listen. You can't stay in this job. The doctor said yesterday it's dangerous for you and Emma. If you don't take care of your health now, there could be complications." Jessica knew he was right. The work was getting harder, and she felt her body couldn't take the physical strain anymore. "Okay," she finally said, "I'll accept, but on one condition." "What?" "I want you to be completely honest with me. If any of these companies know about us, about our history, I want to know." "Fine. I promise to be honest. And one more thing. I'll work as hard as any other employee. I don't want special treatment." "I agree, but promise me you'll take care of your health." "I promise." Michael smiled, feeling more relieved than he had in years. So, which of the three offers interests you the most? The medical clinic. I've always liked the healthcare field. Perfect. Can I call right now and schedule an interview for you? Now? But I'm in uniform, no makeup. Jess, you look beautiful. And they already know you're employed, so the uniform even helps show you're a hard-working person. Jessica hesitated, then nodded. All right, call them. Michael made the call right then, and within 5 minutes, he had scheduled an interview for 3 o'clock that same afternoon. Done, he said, hanging up. 3 o'clock at Riverside Clinic in Soho. Soho? But that's far from here. I'll take you. Michael, you can't keep canceling your commitments for me. I can, and I will. Nothing is more important than this. Than this what? Than you. Than Emma. Than our chance to be happy. Jessica felt her heart race. It had been so long since anyone had spoken to her that way, as if she truly mattered. Okay, she said softly. Thank you. At 3 in the afternoon, they were in the reception area of Riverside Clinic. It was a beautiful, clean place, with air conditioning and up-to-date magazines on the tables. Jessica felt nervous, but Michael held her hand, giving her reassurance. Ms. Jessica Miller, a middle-aged, elegant and smiling woman approached. I'm Carmen Anderson, the clinic administrator. Pleasure to meet you. The pleasure is mine, Jessica said, standing and shaking the woman's hand. Shall we talk in my office? Carmen glanced at Michael. And you are? I'm Michael, a friend of Jessica's. Can I wait for her here? Of course. Make yourself comfortable. The interview lasted about 40 minutes. When Jessica came out of the office, she was smiling. Well? Michael asked eagerly. I got it, she said, still in shock. I got the job. Seriously? He stood and hugged her, unable to hold back. For a moment, Jessica let herself stay in that embrace, breathing in the scent of his cologne, feeling the safety of his strong arms around her. It had been so long since she'd felt protected like this. When do you start? He asked when they pulled apart. Monday. And, Michael, yes? The salary is even better than you said. And they told me that after Emma is born, if I want, I can work part-time for the first 6 months. That's wonderful, Jess. Yeah, it's like my life is finally getting back on track. Our life, Michael corrected gently. Michael, I know you're still thinking, but I also want you to know I've already thought about it, and I'm sure of what I want. What do you want? I want you back in my life. I want to take care of you and Emma. I want the chance to be the man you deserve. Jessica felt tears welling up again. What if it doesn't work? What if we hurt each other again? Then at least we tried. At least we won't spend forever wondering, what if? They stood on the sidewalk outside the clinic, people rushing past them, but it felt like they were the only ones in the world. I'm scared, Michael, Jessica confessed. Me too, but sometimes being scared means something is important. I don't want you to regret it later. Regret what? Loving you, wanting to take care of you? Jess, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. Losing you was the biggest mistake I ever made. And Emma? A daughter who isn't yours? Emma will be my daughter if you let me. I'll love her as if she were my biological child. How can you be so sure? Because I already do, since yesterday when I saw the ultrasound pictures. She's a part of you, so she's already a part of me too. Jessica covered her face with her hands, fighting back emotion. This is crazy. The best kind of crazy in our lives. She looked at him for a long moment, seeing sincerity and love in his eyes. Then slowly, she nodded. Okay, let's try. Michael smiled so widely she couldn't help but smile back. Really? Really? But take it slow, Michael. I need time to trust again. All the time you need. And I won't move in with you right away. I need to keep my independence until I'm sure. I understand. But at least let me help you find a better place to live. For Emma's sake. Jessica hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but I'll pay the rent with my salary. Deal. They walked to the car holding hands, both feeling like they were starting a new life. In the following days, everything happened quickly. Jessica resigned from the city sanitation department, facing Ms. Barbara's anger but standing her ground. Michael helped her find a small but comfortable apartment in a safe neighborhood, not too far from the clinic where she'd be working. On her first day at the clinic, Jessica arrived nervous but determined. Ms. Carmen welcomed her warmly and introduced her to the team. "Everyone, this is Jessica, our new administrative assistant. I'm sure you'll all get along well." The team was small but welcoming. There was Dr. Edward, the pediatrician who owned the clinic, Nurse Patricia, receptionist Anna, and lab technician John. "If you have any questions, just ask," said Anna, a friendly woman in her 30s. "We're here to help." The work was very different from what Jessica was used to. She was responsible for organizing records, scheduling appointments, managing medication inventory, and assisting with administrative tasks. It required attention and organization, but no physical labor. During lunch, Anna invited her to eat together. "How did you hear about the job here?" she asked between bites. "A friend recommended me," Jessica replied, trying to be vague. "That's lucky. It's hard to find good work in our field. How many months along are you?" 7. "Wow, you're almost there. Is this your first?" "Yes." "How exciting. And the dad, is he anxious?" Jessica hesitated. She still wasn't sure how to explain her situation. "It's complicated," she finally said. Anna noticed her discomfort and changed the subject. "Well, if you need anything, you can count on me. Pregnant women have to stick together, right?" She smiled, touching her own small bump. "You're pregnant too?" 3 months. That's why I get it. You get more tired, more emotional. Dr. Edward is really understanding about these things." Jessica felt relieved. At least she wouldn't have to hide her pregnancy or worry about judgment. That afternoon, the phone rang, and she answered. "Riverside Clinic, good afternoon." "Jess, it's me, Michael." "Michael, how did you get the clinic's number?" "It's online." "How was your first day?" "It's going well. Why are you calling?" "I wanted to see how you were doing, and I wanted to know if I can pick you up after work." "Michael, we talked about this. You don't have to pick me up every day." "I know I don't have to. I want to." Jessica smiled despite herself. "Okay, but just today. Tomorrow I'll take the bus." "Deal. I'll pick you up at 6. When she hung up, Anna was looking at her with a curious smile. "Boyfriend?" "It's complicated," Jessica repeated her lunchtime answer. "Seems like he really cares about you." "Why do you say that?" "Your face when he called. You lit up." Jessica blushed. It was true. No matter how hard she tried to protect herself, she couldn't help the happiness she felt when talking to Michael. On his way out, he was waiting, leaning against the car, reading something on his phone. When he saw her coming out, he put the device away and smiled. "How was it?" "Better than I expected. The people are nice. The work is interesting." "Great. Want to go out for dinner tonight? To celebrate?" "Michael, I said we were taking it slow." "Dinner is slow," he laughed. "It's just food." "All right, but somewhere simple." "I know the perfect place." The place he chose was a small, cozy Italian restaurant, very different from the upscale spots they used to frequent before. Jessica was surprised by the choice. "Do you like it?" he asked as they sat down. "I do. It's warm." "I thought you'd prefer something more normal." "Normal?" "Less flashy, less rich people's place." He made air quotes. Jessica laughed. "You're learning." "I'm trying. I told my mum we ran into each other." "You did? What did she say?" Michael made a face. "She'd rather not know the details. She still hates me." "She doesn't hate you, Jess. She just struggles to accept her son has grown up." "Michael, your mum always treated me like a threat, like I was trying to steal you from her." "I know, and this time will be different." "How can you be sure?" "Because this time, I won't let anyone interfere in our relationship. Not her, not anyone." Jessica felt a pang of hope mixed with fear. What if she does the same thing as before? What thing? "Michael, do you remember that argument we had about the money?" "I do." "Do you know what happened before that argument?" "No." "What?" Jessica took a deep breath. She'd never told him this. Your mom came to see me. She showed up at my work. Michael froze, his fork in midair. What do you mean? She told me she knew I was only with you for the money, that she had experience with women like me, that it would be better for everyone if I left your life willingly. Jess, why didn't you ever tell me? Because you wouldn't have believed me. Your mum was always your priority. Michael felt like he'd been punched in the gut. What else did she say? That you were just having fun with me, but when it came to marriage, it would be with someone from your social circle. That I was fooling myself if I thought I had a future with you. And you believed her. Not at first, but when you started acting distant, when you began questioning my feelings, I started to think maybe she was right. Michael felt awful. Now he understood why things had fallen apart so quickly between them. Jess, I swear I had no idea. I know, but now you see why I'm afraid, why it's hard for me to trust. I do, and I promise you, this time will be different. My mom won't have any influence over our relationship. How can you guarantee that? Because I've grown up, Jess. Because now I know what my priority is. What is it? You and Emma, our family. The word family made Jessica's heart race. It had been so long since she'd felt like part of one. Michael, I want to believe you, but you need to understand I've changed. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. I've changed too, and I want to know who you are now. I'm more guarded, more independent, more tired. Tired how? Tired of fighting alone, tired of having to be strong all the time, tired of not being able to rely on anyone. Michael reached across the table and took her hand. You don't have to fight alone ever again. That's a big promise, Michael. It's one I intend to keep. They spent the rest of dinner talking about lighter things, her job, plans for Emma, little memories from when they were dating. For a few moments, Jessica managed to relax and feel like the woman she used to be. When Michael dropped her off at home, she hesitated before getting out of the car. Michael? Yes? Thank you for everything, for helping me get the job, for listening to me, for not giving up on me. I'll never give up on you, Jess. She smiled and leaned in to kiss his cheek, but he turned his head at the last moment, and the kiss landed on his lips instead. It was soft at first, hesitant, then grew more intense. When they pulled apart, both were breathing unevenly. I'm sorry, Michael murmured. I didn't mean to pressure you. It wasn't pressure, Jessica whispered. It was nice. It was really nice. They looked at each other for a moment, the tension between them almost palpable. I should go, she finally said. I know. Good night, Michael. Good night, Jess. She got out of the car, and he waited until she entered the building before driving away. On the way home, Michael couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in 3 years, he felt like everything would be okay. In the days that followed, they talked every day, but Michael tried to respect Jessica's request to take things slow. He didn't show up at the clinic every day, didn't insist on picking her up all the time, giving her space to adjust to her new routine. Jessica, in turn, was really enjoying her job. It felt good to be useful and capable again. Her co-workers were friendly, and Dr. Edward was an understanding and respectful boss. One afternoon, Anna came to her desk with a worried expression. Jess, are you okay? You look a little pale. I'm feeling a bit nauseous, Jessica admitted. Do you want me to call Dr. Edward? No, it's fine. I think it's just tiredness. But by mid-afternoon, Jessica had to rush to the bathroom. When she returned, she looked visibly unwell. That's it. I'm calling the doctor, Anna said firmly. Doctor. Edward examined Jessica quickly and shook his head, concerned. Your blood pressure is high. Too high for someone 7 months pregnant. What does that mean? It could be preeclampsia. It's a serious condition that can be dangerous for you and the baby. Jessica felt panic rising. Dangerous how? We need to take you to the hospital right away for more detailed tests. Is there someone who can go with you? Yes, there is. Call them now. And Anna, get a taxi. Jessica called Michael with trembling hands. Michael, I need your help. What happened? Are you okay? I'm at the hospital. The doctor thinks I might have preeclampsia. What? Where are you? I'm on my way. Mercy Hospital. Michael, I'm scared. I'm leaving now. Everything will be fine, Jess, I promise. 20 minutes later, Michael rushed into the hospital. He found Jessica sitting in a wheelchair in the emergency room crying. Jess, I'm here. He knelt beside her and took her hand. Michael, what if something happens to Emma? Nothing will happen. The doctors here are great. But if it does... Hey, stop that. You're strong. Emma's strong. You'll both be okay. A nurse approached. Ms. Miller, we're going to take you for some tests. Are you the baby's father? Michael and Jessica exchanged a glance. He waited for her to answer. He's my partner, Jessica finally said. Great. You can come with her if you'd like. I'd like to. The tests took a few hours. Michael stayed by Jessica's side the whole time, holding her hand, talking to distract her, trying to reassure her. Finally, the obstetrician came back with the results. Ms. Miller, and you are... Michael, her partner. Dr. Robert, well, the tests confirm you have mild preeclampsia. It's not severe yet, but we'll need to monitor you closely. What does that mean? Michael asked. It means she'll need complete bed rest for the remainder of the pregnancy. No work, no physical exertion. And she'll need medical checkups twice a week. Complete bed rest, Jessica repeated, desperate. But I just got a job. I'm sorry, but there's no way around it. This is the only way to ensure the pregnancy reaches full term without complications. Doctor, Michael interjected, if she doesn't rest, what could happen? In the worst-case scenario, seizures, organ failure, and the baby may need to be delivered prematurely. It's a condition that can be fatal if not treated properly. Jessica began crying again. Doctor, can she go home or does she need to stay in the hospital? Michael asked. For now, she can go home, but she needs someone to take care of her. She can't be alone. She won't be alone, Michael said immediately. Michael, I can't live with you, Jessica protested. Then I'll live with you. What do you mean? I'll stay at your apartment. I'll take care of you. Michael, you have a company to run. The company can wait. You and Emma are more important. The doctor watched them with interest. You need to decide this quickly because she really can't be alone. If there's no one to care for her, I'll have to admit her. No need for that, Michael said quickly. I'll take care of her. Michael, Jessica pulled him aside. Are you sure about this? It's no joke. It could be 2 months of complete bed rest. I'm sure. More than sure. But what if... Jess, stop. We'll get through this together. I'm not abandoning you now. She looked into his eyes and saw only sincerity and determination. Okay, she finally said. But we split the expenses. We'll split them. And you can't miss work because of me. I can work from home, or from your apartment in this case. The doctor stepped closer again. So, what's the decision? She'll stay with me, Michael answered. I'll take care of her. Great. I'll prescribe some medication and give you instructions for the bed rest. If any new symptoms arise, severe headache, blurred vision, abdominal pain, you come back here immediately. An hour later, they were at Jessica's apartment. It was small and simple, but clean and tidy. Michael looked around, trying to imagine spending the next 2 months there. Are you really sure about this? Jessica asked, noticing his expression. I am. But I'll need to grab a few things from my place. Of course. And Jess? Yes? About the job. Ms. Carmen will understand. I'll call her and explain the situation. What if she doesn't want to wait for me? Then you'll find another when you're better. What matters now is your health. Jessica sat on the couch, feeling the weight of the situation. Michael, I should be happy that you want to take care of me, but all I feel is guilt. Guilt about what? About messing up your life again. About being a burden. Michael sat beside her and turned her to face him. Listen carefully to what I'm about to say. You're not a burden. You never were and never will be. And you're not messing up my life. You are my life. Michael, no, let me finish. I spent 3 years pretending I was fine without you. 3 years trying to convince myself I could be happy with someone else. But I couldn't. Because without you, I'm only half a person. You're saying this because you're emotional. Tomorrow you might regret it. Tomorrow, next week, next month, 50 years from now, I'll never regret being here with you. Jessica felt tears welling up again. I'm so scared to believe you and then be disappointed again. Then don't believe me. Believe my actions. Let me show you day after day that I mean what I say. What if I'm a terrible patient? What if I get cranky and annoying during bed rest? Then I'll put up with your annoyance with lots of love, he smiled. Despite everything, Jessica laughed. You're crazy. Crazy about you. That night, Michael slept on the living room couch while Jessica stayed in the bedroom. It was strange for both of them to share the same space again, but also comforting. The next morning, Michael woke up early and went to get his things from home. When he returned, he found Jessica trying to make coffee in the kitchen. Hey, he rushed to her. What are you doing? Making coffee. Do I have broken legs? The doctor said absolute rest. That means I make the coffee. Michael, making coffee isn't physical exertion. For me it is. I barely know how to boil water. Jessica laughed. Then we're both going to starve. No, we won't. I hired someone to help around the house. You what? A housekeeper. To cook, clean, things like that. So you can really rest. Michael, I can't afford a housekeeper. I'll pay. We talked about this. Jess, you can't strain yourself at all. How are you going to clean, cook, do laundry? Let me hire help. Jessica hesitated. She knew he was right, but still struggled to accept help. All right, she finally agreed. But only while I'm on bed rest. Only while you're on bed rest. The housekeeper Michael hired was a kind, experienced woman in her 50s named Mrs. Rose. She arrived mid-morning and immediately took over the kitchen. Don't worry about a thing, dear, she told Jessica. I'll leave everything nice and tidy for you. Thank you, Mrs. Rose. And you, young man, she turned to Michael, stay out of the kitchen too. I can already tell you don't know a thing about it. Michael laughed. How can you tell? The way you look at the stove, like it's a dangerous animal. Over the following days, they settled into a routine. Michael worked on his laptop at the living room table, while Jessica rested on the couch watching TV or reading. Mrs. Rose came every morning to take care of the house and prepare meals. It was awkward at first, both of them navigating this new dynamic, but gradually they got used to it. Michael, Jessica said one afternoon, don't you think your clients will find it odd that you're always working from home? Some already have, but I explained I have personal matters to handle. Did you tell them about me? I told the ones closest to me that I'm caring for the woman I love during a high-risk pregnancy. And they understood. Most did. The ones who didn't, well, they weren't that important as clients. Jessica felt guilty for affecting his work, but was also moved by his dedication. A week after bed rest began, Anna from the clinic came to visit. Wow, what a cozy home, she said as she entered. And who's this hottie? She whispered to Jessica, nodding at Michael. This is Michael. Michael, this is Anna from work. Nice to meet you, Anna. Michael stood to greet her. Wow, Jess, you didn't tell me he was so handsome, Anna said bluntly. Michael laughed, and Jessica turned red. Anna has a habit of saying whatever's on her mind, Jessica explained. Yeah, it's my flaw, Anna chuckled. But seriously, Jess, Ms. Carmen wanted me to tell you your job is safe. You can come back when you're better. Really? She said that? She did, and she sent this. Anna handed over a basket of fruit and some books. Gifts from the whole team. Jessica teared up. They're such wonderful people. They really are. Speaking of which, how did you two meet? Jess has always been so secretive about her personal life. Michael and Jessica exchanged glances. We dated years ago, Michael said. We reconnected recently. How romantic. And you, Michael, what do you do? I run a consulting firm. Wow, fancy. Jess, you landed a big fish, huh? Anna, Jessica scolded, mortified. What? It's true. Just look at this apartment. all neat and tidy. And him here taking care of you. I want one like this too. Michael laughed at the young woman's spontaneity. Your time will come, Anna. I hope so. Well, I'd better get going. Well, call me if you need anything, Jess. And you, Michael, take good care of our girl here. Don't worry. After Anna left, Jessica shook her head. Sorry about Anna. She's just like that. No filter. I liked her. She seems like a good friend. She is. She was one of the few people who treated me well from day one. And why do you think others didn't treat you well? Jessica thought for a moment. I think some people can sense when you're vulnerable, and they take advantage to bring you down even more. But that's changing, right? With the new job, with me here. It is. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I have people who care about me. You always did. You were just far from them. That night, as they watched a movie on the couch, Jessica felt a strong movement in her belly. Ouch! She pressed a hand to her abdomen. What's wrong? Does it hurt? Michael immediately tensed. No, it doesn't hurt. She's just kicking really hard. Can I feel? Jessica hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Michael carefully placed his hand on her belly and waited. Wow, he exclaimed when he felt the movement. She's really strong. Yeah, especially at night. I think she's going to be one of those babies who mixes up day and night. What's it like being pregnant? I mean, what's it like feeling her move? Jessica smiled. It's indescribable. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, especially when she decides to dance in there. But most of the time it's magical, like having constant company. Do you talk to her? I do. I tell her about my day, the people I meet, about you, about me. What do you say about me? That you're a good man, taking care of her mommy. That she's going to like you very much. Michael felt his eyes grow damp. You really think she'll like me? I'm sure of it. Kids can tell when someone's sincere. I want to be a good father to her, Jess. You will be. You already are. At that moment, Michael felt something he'd never experienced before, a mix of love, protectiveness, and responsibility that made him understand what family truly meant. Jess, he said softly, I love you, and I love Emma too. Not out of obligation or as a favor. I love you both because you're my family. Jessica's heart raced. Michael, you don't have to say anything back. I just wanted you to know. She looked at him for a long moment, seeing nothing but sincerity and love in his eyes. I love you too, she finally whispered. I never stopped loving you. Michael smiled and leaned in to kiss her. It was a gentle kiss, full of promise and hope. When they pulled apart, Jessica rested her head on his shoulder. I think we're really making this work, she murmured. We are, and it's going to work forever. 2 weeks later, during a routine checkup, the doctor had good news. Your blood pressure is under control. If it stays this way, Emma might arrive right on time. What a relief, Jessica sighed. But do I still need to rest? Yes, we can't risk a setback. On the way home, Michael made an unexpected suggestion. Jess, what do you think about moving into my place? What do you mean? Your apartment is small. If Emma's born there, it'll be too cramped. My house has more space, a room we can turn into a nursery. Michael, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Why not? Your house is really fancy. Nothing like what I'm used to now. But it's our home, Jess. It'll be Emma's too. What if your guests, your friends, don't accept me? Then they're not really my friends. Jessica thought for a moment. And your mother? How will she react? Michael took a deep breath. My mother will have to accept it. She has no choice. Michael, I don't want to cause problems between you. You won't cause problems. If there are any, it'll be because she chose to have them. Even so. Jess, listen. I want to wake up beside you every day. I want to help take care of Emma. I want us to be a real family, and that can only happen if we're living together. Are you sure you won't regret this? I'm more certain of this than anything else in my life. Jessica looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right, let's try it. Really? Really? But if I don't feel comfortable, if your family doesn't accept me, I'm going back to my apartment. Deal, but that won't happen. How can you be so sure? Because I won't let it. The move was planned for the following weekend. Michael hired a moving company to transport Jessica's few belongings, and she supervised from the armchair, unable to help. Michael's house was truly impressive, large, well-decorated, with a garden and a pool. Jessica felt intimidated when she walked in. It's beautiful, Michael, but it's so big. It's ours now, yours and Emma's. It still feels unreal. You'll get used to it. Come on, let me show you the baby's room. The room Michael had chosen was perfect. Bright, spacious, already furnished with the basics. I bought the crib and dresser yesterday, he said, a little nervous. But if you don't like them, we can exchange them. Michael, it's perfect, more than perfect. Really, Emma will love it. That night, as they lay in the large bed of the master bedroom, Jessica turned to Michael. Thank you. For what? For everything. For giving me a second chance. For taking care of me. For accepting Emma. You don't have to thank me for loving you. Yes, I do. Because you could have made any other choice. You could have gone on with your life and let me go on with mine. That was never an option, not for me. Why? Because a life without you isn't a real life. It's just existing. Jessica nestled closer to him. I'd forgotten how good it feels to be protected. You'll always be protected with me. That's a big promise. It's one I intend to keep. The next morning, their first visitor arrived. It was Brandon, Michael's business partner, who came to discuss some contracts. My God, Michael, he exclaimed when he saw Jessica. You didn't tell me it was Jessica. You know each other? Michael asked, surprised. Of course. Jess used to work in accounting for Jonathan Taylor's company. We'd see each other at supplier meetings. That's right, Jessica smiled. Brandon, what a coincidence. Not a coincidence, Brandon laughed. New York is a small city for people in business. But Michael, why didn't you tell me it was Jessica? I didn't know you knew each other. Man, Jess was the most competent employee at that company. Always organized, super efficient. Jonathan Taylor couldn't stop praising her work. Jessica blushed at the compliments. Brandon, you're exaggerating. Not at all. I remember when you left, Jonathan was desperate to replace you. He never could. Michael felt proud hearing the praise for Jessica. Jess is on rest now because of the pregnancy, he explained. But when she's ready to work again, she'll be joining our company. Really, that's great. We need someone competent in admin. After Brandon left, Jessica remarked, It was nice running into Brandon. Reminded me of when I was good at what I did. You still are, and you'll prove it again soon. Do you really think I can work at your company? I think you can work wherever you want, but it'd be great to have you close every day. Wouldn't that be weird? Dating the boss? That would be interesting, Michael smiled. Especially in meetings where I disagree with you. Oh, so you think I'll agree with you just because we're dating? I hope not. One of the things I've always admired about you was your professional independence. Good, because I haven't changed a bit in that regard. The following week, Michael's mother showed up unannounced. Jessica was resting in the living room when she heard the doorbell ring. I'll get it, Michael called from the office. Michael, darling, a woman's voice echoed through the house. I came for a surprise visit. Jessica felt her stomach tighten. It was Mrs. Patricia, Michael's mother. Mom, she heard Michael say with little enthusiasm. What a surprise. I decided to check on you. You've been acting strange in our recent conversations. Mom, I need to tell you something. What is it, son? Jessica is living here. There was a deadly silence. What do you mean, living here? We're back together, Mom, and she's pregnant. She needs care. Pregnant? Mrs. Patricia's voice rose an octave. Michael, tell me that child isn't yours. Not biologically, but it will be mine in every other way. Michael, have you lost your mind? This woman shows up pregnant with another man's child, and you decide to raise it? Mom, lower your voice. She can hear you. I want her to hear. I want her to know I won't let her take advantage of you again. Jessica slowly rose from the couch, taking a deep breath to steady herself. Good afternoon, Mrs. Patricia, she said as she entered the room. The woman turned and glared at her with obvious disdain. Jessica, what a surprise. For me too. The two women sized each other up while Michael stood between them, clearly uncomfortable. Mom, he finally said, Jessica is welcome in this house. She's my girlfriend and will be my wife. Wife? Mrs. Patricia nearly shouted. Michael, have you completely lost your senses? No, on the contrary, I think I've finally regained them. Mrs. Patricia, Jessica interjected gently, I understand your concern, but I want you to know I'm not here to cause trouble. Aren't you? The woman laughed bitterly. You show up pregnant with another man's child, move into my son's house and claim you're not causing trouble? Mom, Michael raised his voice. Enough! No, Michael, Jessica interrupted. Let her speak. Mrs. Patricia, what exactly do you want to know? I want to know how much money it'll take for you to leave my son's life for good. Michael turned pale. Mom, you're crossing a line. I'm trying to protect you, Michael. This woman already hurt you once, now she's back to finish the job. Do you know why we broke up last time? Jessica asked, keeping her voice calm. Yes, because you showed your true colors. No, we broke up because you lied to Michael about me, because you planted doubts in his mind about my feelings. I never lied. Yes, you did. And you know what's worse? You almost convinced me it was true. You nearly made me believe I didn't deserve your son's love. Mrs. Patricia was momentarily speechless. Mom, Michael said firmly, I know what happened. Jess told me about your conversation with her, and I won't let it happen again. What conversation? You know exactly what conversation. When you went to her workplace and told her it was best if she left my life. I did it for your own good. You did it for your good, Mom, because you can't accept that I've grown up. Michael, you're my only son. I just want what's best for you. Jessica is what's best for me. She always has been, and if you can't accept that, then we have a problem. Mrs. Patricia looked at her son, then at Jessica, then back at Michael. Are you really serious about this? Are you going to choose her over your own mother? I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I'm saying Jessica is the woman I love and the one I'm going to marry. You can be part of our lives or not. The choice is yours. And what if I say I don't accept it? Then you'll lose your son and your granddaughter. Granddaughter? Emma. When she's born, she'll be my daughter too, and your granddaughter as well, if you want her to be. Mrs. Patricia fell silent for a few minutes, processing the information. Jessica, she finally said, can I speak with you alone? Michael was about to protest, but Jessica reassured him with a look. Of course, Mrs. Patricia. The two women stepped out into the garden, leaving Michael in the living room worried. Jessica, Mrs. Patricia began, I'll be honest with you. I prefer it that way. I don't like you. I don't think you're good for my son. Why? Because you come from different worlds. Because you can't keep up with his lifestyle. Because I'm poor? Mrs. Patricia hesitated. It's not about being poor. It's about compatibility. Mrs. Patricia, you may not like me. You may think I'm not good for Michael. But one thing I'll make very clear. I love your son, I always have. And I'm not here for money or personal gain. How can I be sure of that? Because I'm willing to give up everything. What do you mean? If I marry Michael, I'll insist on signing a prenuptial agreement. I'll renounce any claim to his assets. I'll work and support myself. Mrs. Patricia looked surprised. You'd do that? I would. To prove that my interest is in the man, not the money. And if one day you separate, then I'll walk away with nothing but my clothes. And the child. Emma is my responsibility. She always has been. I don't expect Michael to support her. Mrs. Patricia studied Jessica for a long moment. You really love my son, don't you? More than my own life. And he loves you. I think so. Not think. I know. I've never seen Michael as happy as he is now. The two women fell silent for a few minutes. Jessica, Mrs. Patricia finally said, I've made mistakes in the past. Maybe I misjudged you. Maybe. If I tried to accept you, would you try to forgive me? Mrs. Patricia, there's nothing to forgive. You're his mother. It's natural to want to protect him. But I was cruel to you. You were. But I understand why. You do? You're afraid of losing him. If I'd been a mother longer, maybe I'd be the same. Mrs. Patricia felt her eyes grow damp. You'll be a good mother to that little girl. I'll try. And a good wife to Michael. I'll try that too. So, can we try to be friends? Jessica smiled for the first time since the woman had arrived. We can try to be family. When they returned inside, Michael was pacing, clearly nervous. Is everything okay? He asked immediately. It is, Jessica and Mrs. Patricia answered at the same time. Really? Michael, his mother said, I want to apologize to both of you. I was wrong. Mom, no, let me speak. I was afraid of losing you, and I almost made you lose the woman you love. That was selfish of me. Mrs. Patricia, Jessica interjected, what matters is that we're here now. That's true. And Jessica, I want you to know you're welcome in this family. Michael smiled, feeling an immense relief. Really, Mom? Really? And I want to meet my granddaughter when she's born. She'll love having a grandmother, Jessica said, touching her belly, and I'll love being one. From that day on, everything changed completely. Mrs. Patricia visited regularly, always bringing something for Emma's layette or a special meal for Jessica. They talked about the pregnancy, about plans for the future, about the little things in their daily lives. Michael watched these changes with joy and amazement. He never imagined his mother and Jessica could get along. How did you two manage that? He asked one afternoon after his mother had left. What? Becoming friends like this. You used to hate each other. We didn't hate each other, Michael. We were afraid of each other. Afraid? Your mother was afraid of losing you to me. I was afraid of not being accepted. When we stopped being afraid and started talking honestly, we realized we wanted the same thing. What thing? Your happiness. Michael smiled and kissed her forehead. You two are amazing. And you're our common ground, Jessica laughed. 2 weeks before the due date, Jessica woke up in the middle of the night with a strange pain. Michael, she called softly. He woke immediately. What's wrong? I think I'm having contractions. Michael jumped out of bed. Contractions? But it's not time yet. I know, but the pain is different this time. Let's go to the hospital. Now. Michael, calm down. Let's time them first. Time them, Jess? You're 38 weeks along. Emma could be coming. Over the next hour, the contractions grew stronger and more frequent. By the time they reached the hospital, Jessica could barely walk. Doctor, Michael said to the on-call obstetrician, she's having contractions every 5 minutes. Let's examine her, the doctor said calmly. Ms. Miller, can you lie down here? After the exam, the doctor smiled. Congratulations. You'll meet Emma today. Today? Jessica asked between contractions. You're 6 centimeters dilated. It won't be long now. Michael's legs felt weak. Will everything be okay? With the preeclampsia, her blood pressure is under control. I don't foresee any complications. The next few hours were a mix of pain, anxiety, and anticipation. Michael stayed by Jessica's side the entire time, holding her hand, wiping her sweat, whispering words of encouragement. I can't do this anymore, Jessica cried during a particularly strong contraction. Yes, you can, love. It's almost over. Michael, what if I'm not a good mother? You'll be the best mother in the world. How can you be so sure? Because I see how you already care for her. How you talk to her, how you worry, that's a mother's love. At 6 in the morning, after 8 hours of labor, Emma was finally born. She's a perfect little girl, the doctor announced, lifting the tiny pink baby. Jessica cried with relief and emotion as they placed Emma in her arms. She was small but healthy, with wide-open eyes and a head of dark hair. Hi, my princess, she whispered. You're finally here. Michael watched the scene with tears in his eyes, overwhelmed with love for this child who wasn't even biologically his. She's beautiful, Jess, just like you. Do you want to hold her? Michael hesitated. Can I? Of course. You're her father. Carefully, Michael took Emma into his arms. The baby looked up at him with curious eyes, as if trying to understand who this man was. "Hi, Emma," he said softly. "I'm Michael. I'll take care of you and your mom forever." As if understanding his words, Emma curled her tiny hand around his finger. "I think she approves," Jessica smiled through her tears. "I think so too." In that moment, looking at the woman he loved holding the child he already considered his own, Michael knew his life was finally complete. "Jessica," he whispered. "Yes?" "Marry me." "Now," she laughed. "I just gave birth." "Not now, but marry me, officially. I want Emma to have my last name. I want you both to officially be my family." Jessica looked at him, then at their daughter in his arms, then back at him. "Yes," she said finally. "I'll marry you." 3 months later, they got married in a small, intimate ceremony in the garden of their home. Emma slept peacefully in Mrs. Patricia's arms, who had become the most doting grandmother in the world. "You have no idea how happy I am," Jessica said to Michael as they danced their first dance as husband and wife. "I do, because I'm feeling the same way." "Do you regret anything?" "Just one thing." "What?" "Taking so long to find you again. Long to find." "But we did find each other, and now we'll never lose each other again." "Never again," he agreed, kissing her softly. That same night, after all the guests had left and Emma was asleep in her crib, Michael and Jessica sat on the living room couch, still dressed in their wedding attire. "Mrs. Anderson," Michael said, testing the sound of her new last name. "I like it," Jessica smiled. "It has a nice ring to it." "And Emma will be an Anderson too." "Yes. She'll have a real family. She always did. She just didn't know it yet." They sat in silence for a few minutes, simply savoring the moment. "Michael," Jessica finally said, "thank you." "For what now?" "For not giving up on us, for fighting to bring us back into your life. Thank you for giving me a second chance. How many people can say they got a second chance at happiness? Not many. That's why we can't waste it. We won't waste it. I promise. I promise too." As Emma slept soundly in the next room, Michael and Jessica planned the future they had almost lost, grateful for the chance to start over and determined never to be apart again. 6 months later, Jessica returned to work at Michael's company, now as the administrative coordinator. It was strange working with her husband, but also rewarding. They managed to keep things professional at the office, saving personal matters for home. "Mrs. Anderson," Brandon said one day, stepping into her office with a mischievous smile, "your husband is asking for you in his office." "Ugh," Jessica grumbled. "I bet he wants to go over the quarterly budget again." "From what I saw, it didn't look like it was about the budget," Brandon laughed mysteriously. Curious, Jessica went to Michael's office. When she opened the door, she found him sitting behind his desk with a bouquet of flowers and a guilty look. "What did you do?" she asked immediately. "Nothing. Can't I give my wife flowers?" "You can. But you only give me flowers when you've done something wrong or want something." "All right, you caught me," he laughed. "I want something." "What?" "I want to have another baby with you." Jessica nearly dropped the flowers. "What?" "Emma needs a little sibling, and I want to have a child that's biologically ours." "Michael, Emma isn't even walking yet." "I know, but she needs company." "She has company. She has us." "It's not the same. Wouldn't you like to have a child with me?" Jessica studied him for a moment. Truthfully, she had thought about it before. "I would," she admitted. "But let's wait until Emma is a little older." "How long? 2 years?" 2 years? Michael winced. "How about 1? 1.5 years?" "Deal." Jessica laughed and sat on his lap. "You're impossible. You love me anyway." "I do. More than I should." "There's no such thing as loving someone more than you should. You just love them the right amount, and our amount is infinite." "Infinite?" infinite. At that moment, looking into the eyes of the man she had almost lost forever, Jessica knew they had made it. They had turned a second chance into a love that would last forever. "Michael," she said softly. "Yes? I love you. I love you too. Forever. Forever." Outside the office, Brandon shook his head with a smile. Some loves really could overcome anything. The end. Now tell us, what did you think of this second chance love story? Do you believe Michael made the right decision by fighting for Jessica's love and accepting Emma as his daughter? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.